get into office, the first thing we have to do, social media accounts. Now, social media companies, they have to show America their algorithm. Let us see why they're pushing what they're pushing. The second thing is every person on social media should be verified by their name.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are here live on BasedCast. We got Nikki Haley going full CCP. What do you make of this, Big Steve?
Great. It's just what we need is a full CCP run for president on the GOP side, right? It's not a good start to her campaign, is it?
No, man. Nope. The people do not like Nikki Haley. Now, if you read the New York Times, they'll sit there and tell you she is the leading candidate behind Donald Trump. And I don't think the American people see it that way. She's cracking down on internet censorship, and it sounds like a good idea, but is it really to censor the American people? It always turns into taking away your rights and not really being the best interest for the American people. So props to whoever did that video. You looked really good. It's amazing how the technology is getting these days. Can't even tell what's real anymore.
Well, that's the sad part. You can't. I mean, you talk about internet security and trying to get truths out there and this and that. But yeah, with all this AI and this fake stuff, I mean, how the heck you gonna police that? That's gonna be impossible to try to stop and take care of.
Exactly. I mean, how does the audience not know that we're just some deep fake AI generated show? We're not even real. Just generated in a computer system.
Now you're getting really deep and scary about this one here. Wait, I'm real.
Awesome. Well, we're here today. That is not Micah over there in the corner. He's not here today. Micah is out doing better things, I guess. Life happens, so he wasn't able to make it today. So we have Big Steve filling in. How you feeling? You're filling in some big shoes.
I know. I hope I can rise to the occasion here. No, Big Steve's good. Just hanging out at the compound here this morning, and glad to be back on.
Awesome. Well, glad you're here today. We're going to get into it. We got a lot to cover. So let's get into the show today. Well, I thought it was very fitting to start out the video with Nikki Haley and Xi Jinping. Very fitting, because Xi Jinping is now on his way to California today. He landed last night in California. Another fitting headline there. Xi Jinping, communist, is in California. He's going to be meeting with Biden. He's going to be meeting with, Gavin Newsom, American psycho governor is what we like to call him here at Base Boys. But we find it interesting here at Base Boys that they're cleaning up the streets for Xi Jinping, but not for me. Someone put out the headline, clean the streets for Xi, but not for me. Rules for thee, but not for me. It's sad that the American people do not, or the American politicians do not care about us as much as they do these world leaders. Because what do we know? What do you know about San Francisco and the trash that it has become?
Well, San Francisco used to be one of the great cities in this country. But yeah, I haven't been to San Francisco in 20 plus years. But yeah, I mean, you just, what you hear about it, people I know that have been there, or, recently, it's, the homeless and people crapping in the streets and garbage piling up. And it's California's turned into a third world country.
It's getting out of hand. I mean, it really comes down to the policies they're passing.
It does, yeah. And I mean, Newsom, and he was just in China a couple weeks ago meeting with Xi, and now Xi's going to be in California. Is this his working with foreign leaders, his little itch for his run for presidency? Because all of a sudden he's quite interested in dealing with foreign leaders. So And I don't see Biden being on the ticket. I think it's going to be Gavin Newsom. So, make America homeless. That'll be Newsom's campaign slogan.
Make America homeless. We'll just call it MA. The MA movement.
There you go, MA.
The MA movement. Make America homeless. Yeah, Gavin Newsom is not definitely. He would be 10 times worse than Joe Biden because he is like a competent version of Joe Biden. He's just the political puppet that will, do whatever to please NGOs and special interests. And, I think that would be even more impactful to America because he seems to have an idea of what's going on. He's not as much of a puppet as Joe Biden. But here is his response to this Xi visit here in California.
I know folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming into town. That's true because it's true. But it's also true for months and months and months prior to APEC, we've been having different conversations. I know folks say, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders
And there it is. And then we've got Jake Sullivan coming out, and he completely rejects the premise, even though Gavin Newsom corrected that it was true.
Instead of the clean up this, I know folks are saying, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming to town. That's true. Does President Biden agree it's more important to impress the leader of China than the American people that live in San Francisco and pay taxes every day?
First, I completely reject the premise of your question, but secondly, I don't know what the context of what Governor Newsom said, so I won't respond to it.
The Governor Gavin
Yeah.
Why do we even have a White House press secretary? Because honestly, like every time they ask real questions, they get gaslighted every time. What does Karine Jean-Pierre, what's the redheaded Jen Psaki? I mean, all these people, John Kirby, anytime you ask them, they just completely gaslight your questions and they don't care. Like, why do we even have this? I mean, does any American trust what these people are saying? Do you?
Well, to answer this like Karine Jean-Pierre, we'll have to circle around to get back to you on that.
Yeah, that's a great one.
No, I mean, they don't say anything, and they can't go tell the truth out there. I mean, that would be even, so it is. It's one lie after another, and they're not saying anything. We need Sarah Sanders back in. She would at least handle it and give you an answer.
Yeah, or Kayleigh McEnany. I think you're wrong about Sarah Huckabee Sanders. I mean, she's great, but Kayleigh McEnany, someone that's can take the questions from the media and not gaslight you completely. But the story to make out of this whole thing is, taking the headline rules for Xi or clean for Xi, but not for me. Why is it that we clean up for world leaders coming in? There's going to be tens of thousands of people following Xi here. There's going to be tourists. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. You clean up the city for this big event, but just for the everyday lives of your citizens of San Francisco, they don't seem to do anything. Their policies seem to enable crime, enable drug use. I mean, they hand out needles left and right. They hand out, stuff so you don't overdose. And it's like they spin it off as it's a humanitarian thing to do to help people, but at the end, it doesn't really. It just aids the problem and makes it worse. But my question is, how do you solve this homeless problem? How do you solve taking all these dirty people off the streets? How do you get them out of there? Most leftists will propose that you take, we do federal housing. We take all this money, taxpayer dollars, and put them in a house, which you're literally just putting a problem in a box and ignoring it because, they have to maintain the house. They have to maintain themselves. They have to have the proper habits. So I don't really see a solution that's going to come from the government to solve this. I think it's more of an individual thing that people have to be helped with, and it's a task that's not easy.
No, I agree. I don't think there's a way for the government to take care of the homeless problem. I think the government is kind of behind some of the homeless problem. When you're handing out needles and drugs and
thing that just affects the economy, and more of the liberal leftist take is to not be economy first, but I think economy is everything. In a free, prosperous nation, you need a solid economy to thrive. and to create economic mobility, and we don't have that at all. It's slowly becoming obsolete to be able to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. But it's all about the economy at the end of the day, because that's where you thrive. That's where you make your money, you solve problems, you get paid. And we shouldn't have to worry about the government meddling in every single aspect of our lives. And that's where most things go wrong. So.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, what we pay in taxes, I mean, it's sometimes hard to find, but they call it Tax Freedom Day, which is usually the beginning to mid of May, where every penny you basically make from January 1st to, we'll say May 7th, whatever the day is, just goes to pay your taxes, state, local, federal, the gas tax, tax on your food, your clothing. I mean, anything and everything you buy. I mean, we pay way too. I mean, they talk about having to raise taxes to pay it. We don't have a tax problem in this country. We have
spending problem
in this country, and they've got to do something to get the spending under control, or otherwise, people. I mean, nobody's going to be able to afford anything anymore. I mean, the rate of inflation, the rate of tax rates, and this and that, it's putting a major squeeze on anything and everything is starting to slow down and get hurt right about now.
Yeah, it can't continue to go on. I mean, there's got to be something. I mean, have you ever heard a politician talking about, defund the IRS? I mean, we've got some of them talking about it, but do you think it'll ever make any advances legitimately through Congress, through the halls of Congress? Like, maybe not defunding the IRS. I mean, do you believe in abolishing the IRS completely? Should we even have one? Should we be paying taxes? Is taxation theft? What are your thoughts?
Well, get rid of the IRS. I know. It's a hard question to answer because I don't really want to be audited here anytime soon. So you got to be careful what you say about the IRS or whatnot, right? Yeah, get rid of the damn IRS. Is taxation theft? Yes and no. I mean, bridges, roads, military, national defense. It needs to be funded, and we should all pitch in and fund it. But the money we send into Ukraine, the money we send to foreign countries to help build border walls for them, it's just the money that is. I mean, how much money do we send to a country like Egypt every year? I mean, we send so many different countries money and this and that, wasting so much money on this and that. It is theft. It's theft out of the American people's pockets. Yes, you do need taxes because there are things that need to be paid for. But what
can the private market not handle these issues? I mean, we always talk about how the infrastructure and national security are the two things that really the federal government should be responsible for. I mean, we can have a conversation for what state and municipalities should be responsible for, but yeah, what do you think?
Well, that's the way our founding fathers set it up. I mean, the federal government was supposed to be, it was in charge of national infrastructure and national defense. And somehow over the years, it's definitely changed to where they're in every aspect. I mean, that's why it was divided into states, so, states could make decisions, that way. I mean, you go back to, say, the 1800s with slavery. I mean, not saying slavery was good or anything, but it was a difference between some states could do it, other states could outlaw it. You actually had the choice, and that's the way the system was set up. But now it's all about what can we control in everybody's life across this country, and I think we need to go back to the way it was. I mean, the federal government is there for national infrastructure and national defense, and they can bug off on everything else.
Yeah, seriously. The biggest issue I have is funding taxes. Is oftentimes, is your money being spent properly? Is it actually being taken care of? The people in charge, are they doing good with your money? I mean, it's really hard to tell, but With that, I mean, I really don't see this endless taxation being ever ending. It's just going to continue to go on, and we're just going to continue to pay 30% of our income to the federal government that likes to send it to Ukraine and Israel. And you know who else wants to send money to Israel? Mike Johnson. So I want to get into him real quick. He is the new Speaker of the House. He just took over for Kevin McCarthy about a month ago. And he's trying to continue this resolution. And I kind of want to talk. So we're a conservative talk show. We believe in America. We believe in God. And we believe in not Judeo-Christian values, Christian values. I don't even know where the word Judeo-Christian came from. But we believe in actual conservative victories. And this is what Mike Johnson has to say here. So the two-step continuing resolution is a necessary bill to place the House Republicans in the best position to fight for conservative victories. It's all about, is passing these massive bills, creating more spending, and you're selling it that it's going to help fight conservative victory. Does Mike Johnson understand what the conservative victory is? I mean, I don't know. I love the comment here. J6 tapes, close the border, subpoena Hunter. American people want our taxpayer dollars. What do you think the American people want our taxpayer dollars going towards? And do you think that this is going to help fight a conservative victory or create a conservative victory?
No, it's not going to create a conservative victory at all. I mean, the one comment, that created a conservative victory. But no, just to keep spending money and throwing money at foreign countries it's ridiculous. You could look at it both ways on this whole Israeli thing, Israel thing, and Hamas thing. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. There's a lot of questions that I think should and need to be answered over this. But we just keep. We send Palestine money every year. So we're going to support and fund both sides of this war. Not a real good use of taxpayers, Mr. Speaker. Let's. It's world first, America last. And I don't give a shit. It's Democrat and Republican. There's a couple Republicans, out there that aren't there. But that's what our government is. They're more worried about the world and everything else than what they are the American people. The people that voted for them put them in. And that's the sad part. It's let's do something to make the lives of the American people better. We were talking about the homeless issue and what it costs to live in this country and what we pay taxes on. How about we ease the burden? You could turn this whole economy around on a dime if we just say, hey, we're slashing taxes. Your tax rate's gone from 30% down to 15%, and we're going to cut their stupid ass spending. It would turn the economy around. It would help the American people out so fast. People wouldn't know what to do. But no, it's always, we need to spend money here. We need to send money to this country. We need to send money to that country. And it is just a waste of American tax dollars. And no, that's not going to help the conservative movement at all. You're playing right into the Democrat hands.
And I don't see him any different than his Democrat counterpart, Hakeem Jeffries. The Democrat majority calls for all this money to Ukraine. Now, Mike Johnson wants to send a bunch of money to Israel. And we have to be America first. That's what it's all about. We should create a whole political movement called America First. Screw the GOP, screw the Democratic Party, the DNC, and create an America First, a patriot party, one that actually puts America first, where we're going to fund solutions in the United States to improve the quality, the economics, reduce the crime. That's what it's all about. Now, granted, what happened in Israel is terrible. They have every right to defend themselves. They want to do whatever they want. But I see it as a corrupt political regime. They're just as corrupt as us. They don't really care. And it's America first. We're sick of being in foreign wars and being a part of things that really don't matter when we can fix our own country first. And I mean, what do you make of that situation?
Well, I agree with you. It needs to be America first. I love the idea of the Patriot Party. Let's start getting people signed up. Let's get somebody to run to represent it. But yeah, this whole endless foreign war where we accomplish nothing. I mean, you look at Afghanistan. We were in Afghanistan for 20 years, and it's probably in worse condition than when we got there to begin. It's not doing anything. It's not helping anybody else. You're getting politicians getting their pockets lined. That's what it is. I mean, it would be interesting to see all this money that's going to Ukraine. How much is getting kicked back to the people that are voting for it? You know it's happening. I mean, it's corruption at its finest, and that's all DC is. It's corruption. So
yeah, and
short of a whole takeover of the government, I don't think you can stop this. That's the
yeah, it is. And my thing is, maybe I need to do more research and understand this. But what interest do we have with Israel? Like, I get, as someone that reads the Bible, attends church, and you see this massive push to support Israel in like the Christian movement. What interest politically do we have? Like, you can make the whole culture argument that yes, it's the birth and life and death of Christ, and it's a very holy land, and it has a lot of biblical significance. I get that. It's in a really bad place around a bunch of Islam, so it's not the best place to have that. But what interest do we have politically to send all this money? Because it's all political. It doesn't seem anything about the culture. They don't really want to protect the religious rights. It's more about just creating and holding political power over the world to continue their business agendas every which way. So what do you think what's the significance of us funding Israel? Should we be doing it? Should it be a non-profit organization that's going to help, or should it be governments coming in and just pushing people out?
I don't know what the significance with Israel is. I mean, we always talk about Israel is one of our greatest allies, and this and that. But really, yeah, I'm not sure.
What does Israel do for us?
Don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's just, it's a country the size of like New Jersey or something like that. Not like we're exporting, it's not like they're supporting our oil needs in this country or whatever. I don't know I can't answer that question. Old Zuckerberg has at Facebook and this and that. I mean, it would be, or, try to Google something. And I mean, they could bury the stuff rather deeply so you can't find it. But when you're trying to talk about verifying everybody this and that, I mean, now all of a sudden you're talking, I mean, that's a little like Gestapo, KGB kind of thing, I mean.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we got Micah. He lived in China for, a short period of time. He talks about WeChat and how they have everybody verified through an app. It's a centralized control grid. And this is what they want. It's easier to control a society once you control the data, you control the algorithms and the systems. So yeah, I agree with her to get rid of the algorithms. But here specifically in America, what this means is anytime they attack, like they use domestic terrorism. We played the Kathy Hochul video yesterday. She talks about how we've got to attack domestic terrorism. But what's the definition of domestic terrorism? Like what does that mean? Anybody, you step on the wrong blade of grass at January 6th, you're a domestic terrorist. Anything that goes against the corporate narrative, that's what they're going to start to censor. Yeah, everybody wants, an 18-year-old kid that's crazy and psychotic posting stuff that's preempting a shooting. Like, yeah, everybody wants that eradicated, but it's what comes with it. It's the censorship, the control, the ownership of your data, and these things don't turn out great for the American people.
No, it is. It's all about more government control and this and that. I mean, that's
America.
I mean, to have everybody have everybody verified. I mean, yeah, it would be a nice thing. I mean, I've said this for years. I mean, the worst part about this internet and just being able to put whatever you want on it is you can do it anonymously. I mean, You know, if you're worried about getting punched in the mouth, sometimes you keep your stupid thoughts to yourself, but when you can just do it behind, keyboard warriors, as they call them. But yeah, when you start talking national registries and this and that, it's one more, it's just one more step to being China right now.
Yeah, that's what government sells us is security. We prefer dangerous freedoms over a peaceful security. I think a lot of the security that the government sells you is a false hope. They don't care about your safety. They don't care about you. That's why you got to take it in your own hands. Find a good, solid community that has good faith, good values. Create a family, and thrive how we're meant to as God's children. I mean, we've got God's green earth to live off of. We should be able to, one thing I think this has caused so much fragility in society is what we're using right now. It's technology. It's the media. We consume so much. We're indoctrinated by so much, and we're just becoming out of touch as humans. We need to get back to the basics. I mean, you ask a kid where food comes from, they'll say the grocery store. They don't understand how things work nowadays. Like a kid 100 years ago was 14, baling hay and milking cows and like actually doing things that moved us forward. Now what are kids doing now? They're sitting and getting 15 hours of screen time a day, and we're just not building a society that's conducive with creating individual and family success. And I don't put any trust in the government to help me. What I've created in life, I mean, I can't recall maybe mostly of what I've created is all individual. It's not coming from the government. I mean, there's probably somehow funding happens somewhere to give me what I have is government somehow, but we don't need it to be successful.
No, we don't need it to be successful. I mean, we need to, people just need to work. They need to go out. It needs to be a sink or swim. I said this earlier, kind of the homeless problem. It needs to be a sink or swim. If you want something, you go out and you work for it. It's your responsibility. It's not the government's responsibility. It's, people, everybody blames something for, somebody else or this or that. Well, I can't get ahead because of this. I can't get ahead because of that. And it's harder to get ahead than it was 100 years ago in this world, but you still have to go out and work for it. And that's what people just, I don't think they understand that anymore. I mean, especially these kids, I think they expect it to be all given to them. Well, it doesn't necessarily work that way in the real world. I mean, if you're not willing to go get it, then you just don't deserve it in life, and keep the government out of it. I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot in my life that the government's given me. I mean, I guess the 5 years I was in the Army, they got paid, I guess the government gave me that, but everything else I have, I've worked my ass off for just to get it. And we need to get that thought process back in the American population.
And one thing we need to get control of is I think the crime. You remember when America used to have a strong standard for crime? I mean, you go to every major American city, your top 10, San Francisco, Philadelphia, DC, LA, like these big cities, Chicago. We see these district attorneys, most likely funded by George Soros somehow, or even other dark money. These district attorneys, they're soft on crime. Like, you can't have a nation that's just lawless when it comes to crime, and we just continue to commit crime. I mean, it doesn't end. Like, these people can go rob stores. We referenced last night, there was a young kid, white kid, beaten up by 15 black dudes. Reverse the roles, that would be, reverse the races on that. That would be mainstream headlines. It would be the new George Floyd, all of that. And these kids haven't even been charged. I mean, they're like literally just let off the hook on this whole thing so far. I mean, maybe something will come up of it with being prosecuted. You rob a store, you get let off. We're not holding high standards for society anymore. It's the moral decay of society, and that's what we're witnessing But maybe it's just part of the cycle in life. Hard times or good times create weak people. Weak people create hard times. Hard times create strong men, and then strong men will create good times. And it's just a cycle. Maybe every couple hundred years is what we're currently seeing.
Well, I think it is. I mean, I think everything is cycles. I mean, I just don't see the logic and reason. You know, I mean, you were talking about this kid that got was killed by, you know, a bunch of African American kids, and you're absolutely right. If that race would have been reversed, that would be the biggest story in this country right now, and we would be having tests in the streets and just like during the Floyd thing. And you're right. There's nothing's going to happen. The kids are all juveniles. They're all going to be let off, and you know. But it's just the society and the way I mean it's the downfall of society right now. It's like we glorify the violence. It's like you know, stealing ain't that big of a deal anymore. I mean, but it you can't. I mean, when I was a kid, I mean, so you're talking 40 years ago, you didn't have to lock your door. You know, I mean, you could, you know, you didn't have to lock your car. Or you didn't have to worry about, you know, somebody.
That's because people had guns.
but you could. It was. I mean, you did. I mean, when we were kids, summertime. You know what? We'd get up, Mom would make us breakfast. She'd kick us out of the house. You didn't come back till dinner time. There was no cell phones. They didn't know where the hell we were or what we were doing. I mean. Until you got in some trouble and, you know, one of the neighbors called. It's like, hey, this is what your sons are doing now. But that's just the way it was. I mean, it was a safer time. And we've crumbled and eroded as a society so far. I mean, so far, you know. I saw a thing was Michael Irvin the other. He was talking, former Cowboy receiver, NFL Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about his son. About how his son wants to become a rapper, and he goes, I listened to some of these lyrics, and he was like, where does this come from? You grew up in a gated community. You had everything you wanted and needed in life, but you're going to be talking about living life on the streets and this and that. It's glorified. We glorify that kind of crap nowadays, and that's part of the problem with society. They think it's cool to, you know, 15 guys kicking one poor kid who was trying to stand up for his friend. I mean, hey, that's the society we live in now, and that's what's glorified. You see it on TV, you listen to it in music. We need to get back to actual standards and basics in this country.
Ain't that the truth? But you know, this is what they're teaching the youth here. I've got this clip. Let's take a look.
All right, so before I make a call to Child Protective Services.
This is a birthday party. Look at all those guns. Look at that. He is flashing the cameraman with his rifle. Do you think his dad taught him how to shoot a firearm, or did he just see dad do it? I mean, he's got it turned the wrong way. He's got to go sideways with it.
No, I never won any Father of the Year awards. I mean, Zing can definitely attest to that one. I see you shaking your head. But where in the human mind is like, oh, hey, let's have a bunch of guns at the kid's birthday party? It's to glorify the violence. That's what it is. It's glorifying the violence. You know, they talk about the problems in the inner city in the African American community. Well, you got crap like that. It's just the stupidity of people. That's the sad part of it. I don't understand how a single person can look at it and like, oh, hey, this will be fun. This is a good idea.
What's going through their mind? Like, as the people, the parents, the guardians of these children, like it's crazy that we've become so like brainwashed society that they just take the action on this. Like, I couldn't even fathom doing this with, my child. Like, it's insane.
And deify science. I would lure priests and pastors into misusing boys and girls and church money. If I were the devil, I'd make the symbol of Easter an egg and the symbol of Christmas a bottle. If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious. And what'll you bet? I couldn't get whole states to promote gambling as the way to get rich. I would caution against extremes in hard work, in patriotism, in moral conduct. I would convince the young that marriage is old-fashioned, that swinging is more fun, that what you see on TV is the way to be. And thus I could undress you in public, and I could lure you into bed with diseases for which there is no cure. In other words, if I were the devil, I'd just keep right on doing what he's doing. Paul Harvey. Good day.
Very powerful words from Mr. Paul Harvey. Man, he wanted people to realize in 1965 that there is a ever-growing movement to destroy morals, hard work, and your patriotism. And that's what the devil's doing. It can be a metaphorical thing for people if need be, but it's what the government's become. It's become a hand of the devil, and it's destroying our hard work, our morals, our patriotism. And man, Paul Harvey was right. Do you agree?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we could have led off the show with this and saved ourselves some time. I think everything we talked about today, he pretty much, said it in that little speech. I mean, it is. I mean, I think you just said it too. The government is the hand of the devil. Whether I think it's the U.S. government, the Israeli government, the government of Germany, Ukraine, Russia, and China. They're all the hand of the devil, and they're destroying everything. We've worked. That made this country as good as it is, or made this world as good as it could be. It's just, you can't say it better than how Paul did it. Back in 1965 too. I mean, it's kind of amazing of what he saw coming.
You're absolutely correct, and this is why it's so important for us to have a great awakening and awaken people to tyranny and corruption and how it affects our everyday life. Most people be like, "Oh, I don't care about politics. I'm just going to do my own thing over here and live my own circle." But that's what's gotten to the point of tyranny. I mean, you what's the great saying? Sometimes the tree of liberty needs to be watered with the blood of tyrants from time to time. I'm not saying we go out and cause war and chaos by any means, but maybe use that as a metaphor to end the tyranny and stop corruption that's going upon us. So what can we do as Americans? The first thing we can do is use your dollars wisely. Who do you give your money to? Are you giving your money to woke corporations that don't care about the family? They don't care about Christian values, and not even Christian values, but just common sense things for we the people. Buy your local food, buy food local. Take ownership of everything you have, and stop being a radical materialist. That's a huge problem we face. We're overconsumptive, and just have good values. So I think with that, it's all about winning the culture war, and that's why we have started this show. Is we just want to share our culture, influence people in a positive way through American ideologies, and hope you can find faith in God somehow. But with that, man, I don't have anything else to add. It's been a great show today with you, Big Steve.
No, I think you just said it all in that last little bit. People would do that. Just wake up. If American people would just wake up and start, pay a little less attention to their favorite television show and what's affecting this world. I think we could. The Great Awakening would would happen. But no, hey, it's always good to be on. Thanks for letting me sit in. I always enjoy being part of it.
Yeah, glad to have you. With that, so stop worshiping Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift and start worshiping God, because it only leads you to better things in life. So with that, I'm glad to have you on the air today, Big Steve, and we will do this again. And for our